We have one more reader for this half of the show, then we're going to go to intermission. So please give a very warm welcome to our next reader, who writes mostly short stories, but also recently managed to stretch one into a novel. Her stories have been published by Swink Magazine, Poor Claudia, Coal City Review, Chronicle Books, as well as others. Along with Margaret Malone, she hosts the art and literary event series, Share. A warm welcome for Kathleen Lane.
Thank you, Davis, for inviting me, and thanks to all the foul weather writers for having me here. Davis asked if I was going to be reading something lighter or heavier, and I said, oh, probably something, kind of in the middle. But instead, I brought something incredibly depressing. So, at least you have a break coming up. The title of this is Walking Through the Forest with My Mother. She's talking about the pears again. My mother in the kitchen in a loose lavender shirt I don't like. It's too loose. It should hold her in more. Did you see the pears Catherine sent from California, she says. Her face also too loose. It should hold her in more. Now she will say, they wrap each one in foil. They wrap each one in foil, she says. I'm buttering toast for our breakfast because I know how to do this. You slice the butter, you put it on the toast, you spread it around, it melts. My oh really is not that nice. I know it should have a question mark, not a sigh at the end. Each one is individually wrapped, my mother says. I'll go get them. She leaves the skillet with onions already the color of sap, goes away to fetch the box of pears. I turn up the stove and eat the toast that's supposed to be for the breakfast table. I eat it and it gets stuck in my throat, and there she is with that box, with all those pears, wrapped in foil, packed in foam. It's a lot of trouble for a pear, isn't it? That's what I want to say. I want to complain about people who ship fruit across the country. Shipping pears across the country is a fucking horrible thing to do. I'm very angry about this right now. And where is Adam? Where is he now? Did he fly all this way to take leisurely showers, to lather his cheeks with shaving cream? Did I convince him to come home so he could leave me here in the kitchen alone while he sits in a chair and drinks coffee, talking with our dad about what's up and down in the market? And maybe that's how they see my mother's decline, as a temporary dip in value. Here, my mother says, peeling the last foil off a pear, holding it out to me in her hand that looks like her hand. Same hand, guarded fingers, math teacher fingers, mom fingers. Try one. You won't believe how sweet they are, she says. Catherine sent them from California, I say. And I know, I shouldn't have. I try to soften. I say, was it California? I take the pear, bite into it without slicing, without washing, let the juice hang from my chin. She doesn't protest like the mother who once did, who said, were you kids raised by apes? As we picked the blackened skin off turkeys, as we ran our pinkies along the bottoms of cakes, plowing up frosting. It's one of my tests. I am testing her neurons, which ones were spared in the most recent clear cutting. The neuron forest, that's what they call it, this place in the brain. Cottontails and knotted pines, you would think. Alzheimer's, some kind of Paul Bunyan. We walk among the stumps, my mother and I, and occasionally come upon one that acts missed. Running down the hill at Uncle Gary's chicken farm, it's still there, only split down the middle, my story without me. Now it's Adam in the rain boots and all that mud. It must be the rain outside that's reminded her. It blows against her dining room window at an angle that makes it seem as if someone is standing on the lawn throwing buckets of water at the glass. We have taken our places at the table, Mom and Dad at the far ends. Across from me, Adam, already reaching for toast, unaware apparently that he has just stolen my story from me. Will he steal my dress too, the white one I turned gingham with blue marker? Will it be his cheek our mother pats when she says, and how could I yell at a little girl singing somewhere over the rainbow? Will he become the howling wind in the third grade play who forgot to howl and so was forever known as the scowling wind? My stories, mine. And who will I be then, the 6-year-old boy with the pencil behind his ear? Will I wear a dress shirt to the one high school basketball game I ever attended, and when my mother says, you just never wanted to go out, will I pretend it was a choice, pretend I wanted to stay home? But for now, we keep our places. Adam with his back to the window, my view over his shoulder of holly and neighbor's fence. Between us, a spread of familiar dishes in various states of completion. A fruit salad of sliced bananas, garnished with sliced bananas. A platter of bacon that could have used another 10 minutes. Caramelized onions, my whole life a topping to scrambled eggs, have become a dish unto themselves. Remember, my mother says to Aunt Adam, as if the word is still hers, how you came flying down that hill, flew right out of your, not gloves, she says to her juice glass so quietly. Gloves you put on your hands. I take a bite of banana so I won't say boots. Boots, Ma, Adam says, and pokes up a piece of pink bacon. It hangs from his fork like a wound. Adam, who calls our mother's condition forgetfulness. He has convinced my father of this too. Boots, my mother says, that's right. Your boots got stuck in the mud and you, her eyes moved from Adam over to me, and like that, I'm back in my story. I am me, and Adam is Adam, and our mother, she is back too, laughing her easy laugh is just her. You, she says, her gums showing how they do when the laugh gets too big for her face. You, she says, and we're all laughing out, even Adam. You, she says, you came up out of that mud looking just like a little pickaninny. And the tree stands tall. Over the years, my mother had learned to say black man, not colored, to be corrected, and it's even better if you say African American. But African American was one step too many away from her Darlington porch swing. The word sits on our table, and there is no easy way to brush it away. Even my mother seems confused by it, her laughter less sure, her eyes widening, emptying, until they are nothing but sea glass passing over us. And I wonder, can she see lost in our faces the way we can see it in hers? How we try to stretch our laughter, keep it going, bring it down easy. How we all suddenly need something past. Syrup, salt, butter. Send those potatoes down here, will you, sweetie, my father says, because this we can do. Hands, potatoes. My mother makes useless jabs at the onions on her plate. It seems she's addressing the times when she says, what's a pickaninny? Adam looks at me as if I had asked it, as if he is angry at me for asking it, though I know it's not me or Mom who's upset him, but this disruption in logic. A black person, he says. African American, I say, not meaning to, but sometimes I go with her, and it's 1985 and I'm 14. My hair is pink, my necklaces are weapons, and it's African American. It doesn't matter, Adam says. In that tone I remember from high school, why can't you act normal? Those serious eyes, so serious even when we were young, playing banker, priest, the catch-all boss in our childhood games, and up until a certain age I believed him. Maybe I still do, maybe that's my problem. I am waiting for Adam to draw me a crayon chart, indicate in blue line and arrow what we're supposed to do now, make mother in pie chart and leave out not one thin sliver. It does matter, I say, because it does, because it did, because I realize that everything has always mattered more to me than to Adam, and right now this burden of caring is too much. We are strangers, Adam and I realize this too. There is forest and rivers and hills between us. Some distances are made by birth and some by drift, and I can't say which of these, ocean or desert, mother or brother, is harder to cross. You kids are going to have to learn to get along, my mother says. Words from back then, from her childhood, how many times? Or does she mean now? Does she mean when she's not here, when it's just us? I look at my mother, looking at rain, at Adam curling a cold brown onion on top of his last bite of bacon. He always could eat anything. My father, who looks exhausted by the act of eating, I can hear his breathing across the table, a stormy-chested old man's breathing, not the father who taught me to change sails, and what a lonely place is family. Pass my mother says to me, that there, she says, waving a finger at the toast I buttered and stacked like brick and mortar. Enough toast for 10, not 4, but it never looked like enough on the plate. I wanted higher. My dad hands the plate to her, but he has seen something in my eyes, and he is not one to tolerate sadness. Unhappiness is not something these turtles do. Hey kiddo, he says, did I tell you they're building a new park down along the waterfront? No, my mother says, I don't believe you did. My charming mother, my lovely mother, with fork and knife making steak of toast. Her words, so sweet, so sudden and wrong, have caught my dad and Adam too. No time to pretend, to change subject, reach for salt. I've already seen it in their eyes and their tight smiles they hold too long. I put my hand on top of my mother's fingers that have already begun their curl into grapevine and listen to my dad take a slow, deep breath. I don't know how many times he's told my mother about this park on the waterfront, but by the uncharacteristic flatness of his voice, I would guess more than a few. But my father is also a storyteller through and through, and by the time he gets to the 3 miles of bike path, he is, once again, the self-proclaimed bag of wind who charmed my mother into marrying him by skating her around a frozen pond until she lost feeling in her legs. It's as if he's truly forgotten every past telling when he describes for her the covered picnic areas, the fountain designed by some Greek fellow out of Minneapolis, the concerts they'll have right down there on the water. Well, doesn't that sound nice, my mother says. Sure does, Mom. My brother, suddenly a person who says sure does. He winks a sweet little, sad little one-eyed blink at me. My brother, a winker now, too. Later, after the dishes have been cleared and put away, the neighbor stops by to meet us. She is a new neighbor and doesn't suspect anything, doesn't notice how softly we speak now, how lightly we walk. And when my mother goes to fetch the pears, they are only pears. They are only pears sent from California, wrapped in foil, packed in foam, the sweetest pears you'll ever taste, my mother says. And I try to swallow their juice and smile.